Alrighty, well, let's go with it. So, let's begin and let's hope for the best. Okay, everyone, welcome. This is Nicole Garbellini from Aurora Theatre, chatting with Barbara Blatner, playwright of She Came in the Door as part of COVID and Cigarettes. Barbara is a playwright, poet, and composer. Her work, Years of Sky, was produced by Scripts Up at the 59E59 Theatres and was read at the Great Plains Theatre Conference. Also, No Star Shines Sharper was produced for the radio by New Voices / Public Media Foundation and published by Baker's Place. Aired repeatedly on Christmas Eve on NPR stations and acquired by New York's Museum of TV and Radio. Quarterly Books published her two poetry collections, The Still Position in 2010 and Living with You in 2012. Barbara, welcome. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, we want to know, like, this is so exciting, like all this work, like published and produced. So, tell us more about yourself and tell us more about your current projects. What are you working on at the moment?
Well, I can just say that I started as a poet and I've always been a musician and I have always written music. And then at some point, I fell in love with theater, and I think I felt a bit isolated as a poet because poets work alone and they do everything else alone. But playwrights at some point work with other people, and I really like that a lot. And I think being a playwright, coming from being a poet, has made me someone who's really, really interested in working with language and how an actor is going to project the language for a purpose. So it's very different from poetry in that respect, because poetry is on the page and a play is not on the, it is on the page, but it's not on the page. So to actually animate a monologue, why is this person saying this monologue at this time? I find utterly fascinating and wonderful because it's all about humans. Theater is so deeply human and so ancient. So I have not written a poem in many years. I've written song lyrics, but I have been working with plays and trying to get them right. And the one She Came in the Door, I actually wrote it in 3 days because the theater that I'm involved with had a prompt. They were trying to get people to write new plays, and they read the play after it was done, but I was assigned some actors and a director, and we all had to work with flowers. So I was assigned the hibiscus flower. And so my mind had to work around that and get in hibiscus somehow. So I'm very interested in, like, during this time of pandemic, what is the effect on relationships? What about if you you got involved with somebody, like 2 months before this started, and what are you going to do? Like, are you going to come and go and expose your lover to the pandemic? So a friend in our building has a new girlfriend, and he was like riding his bike downtown back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So I'm kind of inspired by that to explore, well, what would it be like if two people decided to, like, okay, we just really are getting to know each other, but we're going to move in together. And what kind of distrust could happen. And so he thinks that she's carrying a gun. He has this crazy moment. And it took me a while to realize that the gun is the emblem of COVID, which is a deadly
Mhm,
thing.
mhm.
So, yeah, so that's kind of what I tried to set up. And then the third person is ironically trying to assuage her own loneliness by connecting with these two people, and she ultimately is ejected from their relationship, which is terribly unfair, but that's what happened.
Okay, so you got the idea, like the inspiration came from the neighbor, basically, kind of.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's not moving in with her, but I thought, wow, like they've been going out for 2, 3 months.
Mm,
So when something is intensified in a relationship, to be able to continue to see that person, what does that intensity provoke, or what might it provoke?
mhm.
And, people have so many different levels of fear about the virus, and so many, some people feel safe traveling, some people wouldn't go out their door. And, I know in New York, it's very, very mixed.
Yes. Well,
No.
same as Hong Kong, really.
Yeah, I
Um,
would think so. Yeah.
yeah, some people don't care and they just do whatever, like as if nothing changed. And some people do care. In fact, like some people haven't stepped foot outside for months. So it really depends. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the process of she came in the door and the artists you worked with. So basically, you had pretty much a almost Hong Kong team because the three actors were all based in Hong Kong. And in fact, like without spoiling the surprise for those who haven't watched it yet, there is a scene where the actress Anya opens the window and she fans the smoke. And honestly, I by watching it, I was like, this is so New York. This is so New York. This is so New York, up to the point where she opens the window. And that view is unmistakable. That is 100% Hong Kong. So it was like,
Yes. I know, because a friend of mine had watched it, and she's like, well, where is that? That doesn't look like New York at
no,
all. And I said, no,
no.
that was Hong Kong.
That looks very much like Hong Kong, very much,
Yeah,
100%. And you
yeah,
had like the cast was all Hong Kong,
yeah,
except for the director, Faith Lawson, who is American and based in New York now, but she lived many years in Hong Kong. That's how we know each other because we,
yes, I know. She told me that.
but
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
we worked in countless productions together. And
Uh-huh.
when she said, when she got in touch with me and she said like, oh, I heard this is a global project and I would like to get involved, what would you need me to do? And I'm like, right, I got to play for you. I think you would like this. and that's
Hmm.
and that's how it happened.
She was wonderful. I mean, she was really, um, really collaborative, and I think we worked together very well from the get-go. She was also really precise,
Yeah.
and really was thinking hard about who was going to be the best cast, the chemistry of the cast, and was willing to try different configurations. And I mean, it's wonderful to work with somebody who's so careful and is trying to realize something. And I thought she did a brilliant job with the visuals, because Zoom is so static.
Yeah.
And I was trying to write it so that there were visuals and there was a sense of different spaces and they're in different rooms and stuff like that. But she really worked with that. And I think she did a really amazing job. And I remember like she texted me and said, "What do you think of using a fire alarm?" I said, "Great. Like just, I think we were like flashing on each other's ideas." So I was totally thrilled with
Was
the
it
cast. Yeah, she was so good.
was it like a new process for you? Is that what you normally do, like working closely with the directors and the actors? Or do you just write the play, hand it over, and let them in charge to do what they want? How does it work for you normally?
Well, it's a great question. It's been different every single time because I think um, Years of Sky, which was produced, was not that kind of process, right? I mean, there was table read and discussion, but it really wasn't about um, how are we going to work together to produce this. Because I think with a longer play, you can't really afford to be working on how are we going to do this? Should we change this? It kind of the roles are a little more distinct. So, I was in the room as the playwright, but I was communicating with the director, but not the actors. And I think the roles were a little more delineated because of time and the kind of demands of what we had to do. But I mean, my favorite process is to be working with a director and a dramaturg
Mhm.
who is saying, I see this strand in this play, but I don't see that you're pulling it through. Or, there's a wonderful image here. What does it mean for the whole play? And to help me kind of figure out what I have done. Because a lot of times I don't know what I have done. I don't know what like I don't know what certain images or symbols mean until someone else says, "Oh, I see what you're doing there," and maybe it could be more conscious in the rest of this piece. Because I think I write very intuitively, but then I have trouble standing back and saying, what the hell does that mean? So it can be just I think so there's a spectrum of a director who kind of takes charge, and then the director who will really work and kind of work with me, and so that was great. Faith was really doing that the whole time, and we liked each other immediately, so that always helps.
That's great. Well, it's hard not to like Faith, so
Oh yeah, no, she's really great, and she worked really hard. I think she
yeah,
put a lot of time into the editing and the
yeah,
devising and trying to figure out how to make it move.
yeah.
And I think she was really successful.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And when you watched it, like, did you watch it like as soon as it came out? And like, what did you think? Were you watching with your family or with friends? What did you all think about it when you watched the first cut?
I actually waited a little bit because I wanted to find a time when my husband Arthur could watch it with me
Hmm.
because he's also a writer and we're very involved in each other's work.
Hmm.
And so, and I was a little nervous because I always get a little nervous to watch my own work. So I think we watched it together a couple days afterwards, and we were both moved and impressed by the what Faith had done. I mean, it was really engaging. I think she did an amazing job, really amazing job.
And did you also get to watch the others or not yet?
Um, I watched Glenn Alterman because I
Uh-huh.
know him,
Hmm.
but I have not. No, I have not had a chance to watch the others because I want to really have the space to really watch them.
Well, you have
Yeah.
time. They're on until the 7th. So yes,
Yeah. Yes.
the 7th
Yes.
of
I
January.
know.
not December. So you have like
Right.
some time.
No, I know. And then I'll be like on break from teaching. So I've kind of learned to not try to take on, to give myself the space to really watch something or read something, yeah.
Yep,
So yeah, I'm
absolutely.
looking forward to it. Yeah.
Excellent.
Were
Great.
you happy? Were you happy overall? Were people happy?
I was very happy. So basically, what we did in Hong Kong, we had a premiere, but of course, like there were 13 plays, and we started at 9 p.m. So we managed to squeeze like 8 plays, and after a while, like people started to, right, it's late, want to go home, I'll watch this later, I'll watch the rest later, etc. So we didn't actually overdose on the lot of it, because like 13 plays is quite a lot
Yeah,
to watch
yeah,
all in one
yeah.
go. So the premiere actually was like more than a half, but not all of them. So yeah, but then like, of course, I watched them all even before they went online, because I was the one to watch, supervise them, approve them, say, yeah, this is good, it doesn't work, like the quality or whatever. So I had to be in charge of the quality control before everything was uploaded online. So
Wow,
yeah.
that's a pretty amazing feat to pull off that many plays. Is really amazing, and to coordinate all that, and so
Yeah, it's been
congratulations.
thank you. been a been a busy couple of months up
Yeah.
to up to um up to November, which it's a little bit like I was kind of like bashing myself in the head, because I said, like, guys, we need to uh, have this after the presidential election. So let's make sure that this doesn't clash with it. And my team said, well, we checked, and the presidential election is on November 3rd. I'm like, great, awesome. Okay, so we're doing on the 7th, we're good. But we didn't know that it was taking forever. It was taking so long. Like, I did not see, I mean, we should have seen it coming, because it's COVID. Of course, everything is like slow. 4 years ago, there was not such issue, because people went to the ballots, they went voting, and that was it. This time, everybody did like remotely. So of course, like it took forever. And when did they announce? On a Saturday. Ah,
Yeah, right. That's right.
damn it.
But I don't think anybody. I mean, they did say it could take a while, but I don't
Yeah,
think anybody really believed them until it actually
yeah,
happened.
exactly. So,
We're
so
so
we
used to
actually,
knowing that.
exactly. No, I just,
Yeah, it was a little excruciating.
luckily I said, like, okay, this is on for 2 months, so people can actually take their time and watch whenever. So
Yeah.
in the end, it worked out. We're still getting views, so people are still watching, they're still subscribing to the channel. So yep, that's a response. So
Well, I'm still, I think yesterday got a response from a friend, so I had sent the link to people and the information, and people are kind of watching it on their own time, which I think
yeah,
is really, really good,
exactly.
'cause-
Yeah, I can see the progress on the views, so it's not
yeah,
static, it's still going, so that's great. So
yeah,
yeah, we're
that's really great.
pushing for more.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah,
Okay, so let's move on to COVID-19. How did COVID-19 affect you, and personally, artistically, otherwise? Like, how were you
mm,
affected by that?
mm-hmm. Well, so as a writer, in some ways, my life has not been that different
Mm, mm.
because it's actually kind of a boon in a crazy way because now I feel totally justified in staying home and being reclusive. um, but I'm a teacher and I usually walk to work because my university is in the neighborhood,
Mm.
and that was all shut down. So I've been teaching online, which has been getting easier, but it's really very fatiguing. And you feel like you are expending a lot of energy to try to connect to people that, you're trying to teach how to write. So, um, but I mean, it was very scary, and I'm knocking on wood. It was extremely scary in the beginning. I felt very scared. And there's the kind of uh, panic about, are we doing enough to stay safe? Are our neighbors safe? Are our family and friends safe? But since we do not go out of the neighborhood now, I have felt that I've developed a deeper love for the neighborhood,
Mm.
because kind of noticing more things, appreciating just seeing somebody on the street and talking to them for a couple minutes, and we're both wearing masks. And there's something about the intimacy of New York neighborhoods.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that you lived here, but like this street, our street is a village, and there's something wonderful about that. And there are all different levels of relationship here on the street.
Mhm.
So, and they're beautiful parks. So we have been in the park more and falling more in love with the park. And there's a really wonderful intimacy in that. So I'm not getting on the subway. The last subway ride I took was on March 11th.
Wow.
And yeah, it's quite a while. And I don't have a reason to get on the subway, except to go to a play or to go meet a friend or something, since I walk to work. But a very dear friend and I, who he was a theater director, founded a theater in the Boston area years ago. We on March 11th, we met at a cafe and started to go through every line of Hamlet, how we would direct it. And we have continued to meet like about every week or every 10 days. And we went through that entire play and looked at, okay, if you emphasize this word in this line, how would that change the scene completely? Or the person who's not speaking in this scene is actually who the scene is about. Totally fascinating and absorbing. And I feel like, wow, been a fantastic way to use the time and completely forget about the pandemic. And now we're doing Chekhov's Three Sisters, which is really hard.
Yeah, it is.
Like, oh my God, like Shakespeare seemed very straightforward, and Chekhov is like, it's like a web, or we came up with a metaphor. It's
Yeah.
like orchestra assembling, like
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
instrument.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's not linear,
No.
it's like someone's talking now, but they might be addressing someone who talked a while ago. So it's been like kind of an excavation of intention and what is this monologue about? I feel like I am learning.
Mm.
And I'm very grateful for that. And we have a neighbor who got the virus. There are a couple people in the buildings that we're in who have gotten it, including our super, and they're okay, So yeah, it is a very different time. So I feel like artistically it has pulled me inward, and at the same time, like working with people, working with Faith and the actors. And then over the summer I was doing a project with the Theater and Higher Education Conference, um, uh, another short play, and working with a dramaturg and director. And we worked on Zoom, and it worked out beautifully, so it's kind of become
The norm.
familiar. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm. Did you have like a lot of plans getting canceled because of COVID?
Yeah, I was supposed to go to the Inge festival in Kansas
Okay.
with another short play that was going to be in their workshop. That was canceled till next year. The other conference that I just mentioned was online. And then I was supposed to go to a writer's residency in Germany, in southern Germany, totally canceled. So,
It's unfortunate. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's a
But
shame.
I know a lot of productions were canceled,
Yeah.
and a lot of gatherings were canceled
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff.
Absolutely. So, what is
Mm.
the first thing you want to do when COVID is over?
I want to have a party.
I get it.
I want to celebrate. I want to have people over and celebrate. I feel like it's going to be very joyful to be able to hug somebody again,
Yeah,
other
yeah,
than my husband, who I love to hug, but like
sure,
I would like to hug somebody else too.
of course. Very true. No, here we're a bit luckier in a way. Like we're allowed to go out. We are allowed to hug, maybe, depending on the safety
Oh,
of the
you are?
situation. Yes, yes, and we can still party and everything. The only thing we can't do is traveling. So as soon as it's safe to go, I'll travel, but it has to be safe to go. So
Yeah.
that might take a while. Yeah.
What
So
about traveling? What about moving around Hong Kong? Are you
oh, we
able to
can.
do that?
Yeah,
That's
we can.
okay.
We can. We can move around Hong Kong. The gathering might be like limited. For example, sometimes they limit bars and restaurants, uh, nightclubs, and so forth. I'm going to the theater next month. I'm going to watch The Nutcracker.
Oh,
So
wow.
that is still going, and it can only be 50% full. So of course, like the tickets sell quickly because like now everyone wants to go and watch something. So I managed to get tickets for that. So I'm very excited, not only because I love watching the Nutcracker during Christmas, but because I get to go and watch something at the theater. So that's quite something.
Yeah.
But not everybody's doing much because the theaters charge a lot of money in Hong Kong, and they still charge you the full price only to be 50% full. So the Hong Kong Ballet is supported by the government, so they're fine. But companies like mine that are independent, on my own entirely. So I can do a play now, but I maybe can only do a reading or something like really basic
Mhm.
without set or without too many frills, because like the costs are high, and yeah,
Yeah.
I can only have like 50% capacity, and yeah, it's not really a charming deal, let's say. So my
Right.
acting
Right.
students, my adult students from our acting classes, are supposed to have a mini performance on the 23rd of December. We're hoping
Mm.
that that will go ahead, but we're also prepared to postpone it if push comes to shove. We'll see. So let's say that Hong Kong
So
is
like
doing slightly
constantly
better.
adapting, right? Like being flexible and
Yeah,
constantly adapting, and
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. We have
Well,
to.
I mean, I think it's amazing to even have a theater during this time.
Yeah,
So,
we go
yeah.
ahead. Yeah, and we have COVID and cigarettes to
Yeah.
keep people entertained. So
Yeah, which is so great. And are you having a surge there or not? Because we are, we're having a surge of cases
we
all
are.
over. You
There's,
are, yeah.
yeah, we are. They're still very low, but now schools are closed again. So now the drama classes for the local secondary schools, high schools are all transferred on Zoom. And now they have to do from like proper performances on stage, they have to go into podcasts and radio plays. Yeah, well, at
Mm-hmm.
least I do something, because I mean, my students, the poor things. Last year we were doing Merchant of Venice in one high school, and they were like 3 rehearsals away from performance, and that got shut down.
Oh,
So
oh, wow. That's really too bad.
so unfair.
It
And they
must be
were,
hard on the kids, right?
yeah,
That must
exactly.
be very difficult.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. No, they weren't happy about that, and I felt really bad for them. So, but the school was like, no, we can't risk it. So
Right, right.
If the Ministry of Education says you have to be closed, then we have to be closed. That's it. So there's no other way around. Yeah.
You're
So
hearing the loud noises of New York out there.
no, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so anyway, next question for you. Do you have a favorite play?
Probably Hamlet.
Okay, so classic.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's my favorite piece of writing in the world. I think it is so um, there's so much in there, and I love the poetry, and I think it's utterly compelling, and I love Hamlet. I love him.
Okay.
He's very alive to me. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I never get bored. Never get bored. Yeah,
It's a great play.
yeah,
It really is.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and do you have like a favorite playwright apart from Shakespeare, or like someone contemporary or more classic? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I always blank when I think about contemporary. Well, Sam Shepard is not contemporary anymore, but I love that kind of. I love that he's kind of creating a mythic, kind of poetic mythic uh, world that he's working in, and it's very much about American mythology and American illusion, and that's pretty much what I'm interested in. I mean, it's not always American, but I seem to write often about how kind of a collective event will intersect with personal stories, and how American history impacts and oppressions impact
Mm, of course.
individual lives. So yeah, yeah. I'm sure I can think of someone else, but not at the moment.
Okay, fair enough. That's okay.
um, I
Okay.
like I like Annie Baker. I like Annie Baker's work.
Mhm.
I don't know if you know The Flick, and she's very minimalistic, but they're like little micro interactions, and they're really fascinating because it's kind of like what's going on in that comma, what's going on in that dash. And I mean, I'm also like, I think because I got into them in grad school, Pinter and Beckett and all those guys who were pushing boundaries and really working with language in such an interesting way. So yeah, I tend to really be drawn to kind of more, language oriented
Mhm.
poetic stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Thank you so much, Barbara. Thank you for
Very
being with us.
welcome.
It was great to chat with you, and great, of course, to have you and your work in the collection. So
Thank
we're
you. Thank you so
really,
much.
really so happy to have connected Hong Kong to other places in the world. So
No, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And you can do that because of Zoom. So
exactly. Yes.
pretty amazing. Well, it's really lovely because we've been kind of writing to each other about
Yes.
food and cooking and stuff. So it's really nice to see you and talk to you.
Likewise. Well, thank you so much. This was Aurora Theatre Presents the interview diaries, COVID and cigarettes. So thank you so much for being with us, everyone, and stay tuned for the next interview. Thank you.